extensive research. I had a location manager who researched, I think, hundreds of similar locations, and we found that one was the best for our needs and for the amazing. The price was very low too. We had to bring some props. We had to have a lot of some costumes design, and the props for the main characters. But then most of them were provided by the location. We had about 40 extras also from the Pioneer. I think the Pioneer Town Posse gave us some, and then others came.
Okay, and what did
everything they had on set was fantastic.
So you were happy? That's great. No problem with that.
Yeah, we did some building and some dressing, set dressing. I have an amazing art decorator, art set designer, set dresser. So we had a good team.
And how many shoots?
I did have a writer. Usually I like to write and then direct, but I had a writer, and then actually what ended up happening is he got busy, and then I had to find another writer to continue the project with, and then I developed or sort of reshaped the story, and we wrote it together, but he wrote it.
And did you find?
Yeah, I found with the second writer, actually with both of them, they're both opposites. So it was like the script would have been completely different had the other writer finished it. But I enjoy working with anyone, so I enjoyed the process with both of them. And then we did see eye to eye on so many things. And one of the things we tried to work on was subtext. We wanted the piece to just have layer and layer of subtext, because we also initially wanted to do a feature, and we wanted it to be, the idea was every character, every person in this town has an untold story, and they all have some secret, and so each one is like another. So that's why there's so much subtext between characters that are even minor. Very much up front with the actors. I love spending time with my actors, and I try to build a team. So a lot of these actors I've worked with multiple times. Mayor Peacock, who introduced him, he's basically in almost everything I do. And yeah. Well, I had a really good team of sort of two producers working on a budget, and they were very, very conservative, and shooting a Western, 1890s period piece with at least 40 extras in the middle of the desert. This is by far the most expensive film I've ever shot of all the shorts. And so when they did the budget, they budgeted it, and it was possibly going to be up to about like $50,000, and then we got it from 50 down to about a little over 30, maybe. So that's when ultimately we actually got it down, and it's a lot, but still less than it could have been. Because we actually, what wasn't included, we also had some airplane shots, aerial shots, and we had another scene with the priest that walks out, and then unfortunately we had some footage that was flashed. We lost some footage on set because we shot on film. So there was actually there was some other stuff, but and he really liked the whole concept for the piece, and we enjoyed talking together, and so he said he would do it. I don't remember, it was almost free or something, and but we had to have him come out, and then I worked with him pretty extensively, and then to conceptualize it, and then with the actors, and we went with him on set with the actors, and we actually redesigned some of the physical set to accommodate some of that, and then we actually the original fight scene was a little more complex actually, and we were preparing for it, but then we couldn't do it for a couple of reasons. Well, basically an administrator at my school said you can't do that, so we had to scale it down. But it ended up all right, I think. To make sure that the A camera unit and the B camera unit are friends, that's the first thing I learned. Well, even though I like period pieces, I'd probably be to pick the piece first that's not a period piece. Although I did like Western, and shooting a Western, I loved it. But that's only because the budget was exponentially higher than anything else, because of all the costumes, and you can't just buy them at, a store.
No.
You have to make them worn. And then the third thing, although I'd be open to anything if it's a good story. And then the third thing, make sure you have references for all of your catering sources.
Did anyone get sick?
No, but we had two or three sources of catering throughout the shoot of 5 days, and through part of it there was I don't want to point the finger and say, but there was one person that came. The food wasn't what he sort of discussed with us before the shoot, and then we got some complaints from cast and crew, and we were stuck in the desert. Literally, we couldn't do anything about it. First AD is, if I have a contract, I get choice of first AD because that was so important. And what ended up happening, we had some issues, and I mean, there's a learning curve for everyone, so I can't say anything was malicious, but we had some issues, and my second was so good and was promoted essentially, and so we actually had someone come off the street, and he was able to first AD better than a trained first AD, and so we got it done very well. Part of it is actually for me, because I'm able to see the film to a new beat in a new way, and get new angles. Literally, when I hear the music, and opens up new ideas for scenes, and also I feel like it can add some pacing even, and also put the actors in a particular state of mind. Yeah, we used, I believe it was an RE, an RESR, I believe, and it was Super 16, and lenses. I think we had all different types of lenses. We also had a Steadicam operator that came in for some of it, the fight scene, and yeah, lenses. It was just a variety of different lenses. But we didn't actually use zoom lenses, so it was all primes and different lengths.
And did you work with them?
Most of us at a time, but then we had some changes, unfortunately. The Steadicam operator, the scene in the bedroom that opens the film, that was supposed to be shot completely differently. And it was supposed to actually be kind of a fluid, moving camera, and Steadicam actually, which is sort of counterintuitive, but kind of like the fight scene. It was supposed to have something like that. But what happened was there was a scheduling conflict, and on that day we lost our Steadicam operator, and so we kind of we improvised, and the DP used another kind of rig. If I did it over again, I would like to shoot that scene again. But no, I love all formats. I would shoot a film on a cell phone if it was appropriate to the film. What was that film? Cloverfield. That was so fitting. But so it just depends on the material. I thought Western and the look, and I just thought this should be film. And not necessarily like 35, because with the 16, if it's blown up, it's more grainy. So I thought a nice grainy film would give it a Western look. Working with people that I consider part of like a family or a team, like I said, like Mayor Peacock. I really love working with him, and I like working with that group of actors. So that's the most comforting and warm part of it, is to know that I can count on them again, and they're still contacting me repeatedly, asking what's next. So that's the most comforting thing, because I know I think when you have people you can develop shorthand with, it just makes your life as directing them easier, and you can actually accomplish more in less time. Well, you could say there are two makeup crews. There's the special effects makeup crew, and there's the visual effects makeup crew. So special effects was everything on set, what you might call squibs, blood shooting out of tubes, compressed air shooting blood around. That was on set. For that, we actually had a crew of 2. And then for the visual effects, we actually had to embellish on the blood in post-production. And so we had a crew of 2, who basically did some animation on blood to add more blood to it. I was really, really blessed to have a fantastic, brilliant composer. And we just see eye to eye on almost everything. And so we have sessions periodically, and sometimes he takes time, he needs some time, but the end product is always something very, very close to what I imagined when I made the film. So it's relatively smooth, but of course it's just gratifying to see something sound and hear like what I had hoped it would, because I think music is so important. I think it's, you know, maybe for 30 to 50% of the experience. I mean, I like linear plots, but I also like to be able to, I'm inspired a lot by a filmmaker named Adam Egoyan. I don't know if you know him, but he did a film called Calendar, he did Calendar Exotica, he did The Sweet Hereafter. And he loves to play with time and almost sort of throw the audience off for a little bit, and then they gather the pieces again. I don't know why, but I always like that. I like the idea of interruption, and then because I don't know, life just seems like a bunch of interruptions anyway to me.